And welcome to another edition of the Living Large Theater. I'm Billy Santiago, along with my good friend of 35 plus years, Gary Rodriguez. Noe Ayala, our super producer. livinglargetheater@gmail.com is our email. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, iHeart Podcast Network. And if you'll become a sponsor of this fine show, you can call our producer, Noe Ayala, please, before 10 at 956-451-1633.
Yes, please.
And we appreciate it after you listen to this great podcast. Give us a rating, share it with a friend, leave a comment because that grows our audience. It's the Living Large Theater podcast, and we have a special guest on the line. Gary, who do we have with us today?
We have Mr. Max Decker, originally from McAllen, Texas, now hailing from the left coast in Hollywood, California. He is an actor. He is a acting teacher, and he is just a real good representative of the kind of people that we're cranking out here in the Rio Grande Valley. Max Decker, welcome to the Living Large Theater. Step inside if you don't mind.
Yeah. Hey.
Awesome, man.
Hello.
Remember, entry is free into the Living Large Theater, and we know you're about 2 hours behind you, our time, so we want to make sure that everybody understands that where there is a little bit of time difference here. We're in McAllen at the Majestic Studios, and we are talking with Max Decker. Max, I believe I met you back in the 90s when I was working at B104. I used to help J.C. Penney's in La Plaza Mall with a fashion show they did every year, and they would call me up to MC it. And I believe that you were one of our models, and that from there you sort of got the bug to be an actor, and you took that leap of faith and you made it out to the West Coast. Talk about your career and the journey that it's been, and it's not over yet, but talk about it so far. What made you feel the confidence that you were able to just to go out there and stay out there and make it, Max?
Wow. Well, first off, thanks for inviting me. I'm really humbled by all of you, and I grew up with Noe and high school, and this is just like, and I do remember the B104 day of the whole J.C. Penney things. Just a thank you first off. The journey. Wow. What gave me the the courage and the confidence? I just probably good old fashioned ignorance. I think that's one of those things when you're young, you think you can just, you can take on the world and everything. And I think I have to thank my family, my mom and my dad, for just really being able to support me and giving me a great home to grow up in. And I think it really started with that, having the support system. And my mom is incredible. She's probably my hero. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
So Max, when did you make that pilgrimage to Hollywood to start your acting career?
Man, it wasn't really to Hollywood first. I really had a lot of setback. And I think that's the key to life. I think the key to life is having a lot of trials and setbacks, so you can continuously continue on. I mean, success, I love what Ed Sheeran says. He's like, you learn nothing from success, you learn everything from failure.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
I really think that it creates this grit. It creates this, willingness to I can make it, and and it really is true. But I think that I remember going to winning J.C. Penney's. That was a contest my mom put me in. She just told me, she's like, I'm going to put you in a contest. And, in the Valley, man, I wasn't really known as an actor. I was really more known as maybe a club model or whatever.
Yeah.
And my mom for Global 33. I don't know if you guys remember Global 33. Like that was a fashion line that came out of nowhere that was out of Houston. We started at Valley and went to Houston. I was just modeling for those guys and doing the Club X modeling, and I was also bouncing and doing all this stuff. So I wasn't really like this, trained thespian or anything. I did a play in high school, but I was an athlete and I was getting involved with the wrong people, and but I want to thank well, yeah, I mean,
Noe.
I mean,
I'm kidding. Noe's a great guy, man.
The Valley's a great place, but if you really don't have the direction, sometimes you really, you're angry or whatever, you can get caught up more like in the wrong element. And I can't even talk shit on my friends back in the day, because we're just kids, man. We're just trying to, maybe live like a Tony Montana life, right? And so, you know what I mean? My influence back then for film and for the way I lived was like Tony Montana and freaking Club X. So it's like, what do you think? Like,
and Noe Yala, what a bad influence he was.
Hey, take it easy.
If the walls at Club X could talk, boy, we would all be in trouble.
We're right next door.
Brother, if the Canta Bar at Club X could talk, we would all have
the Canta Bar.
Yeah. And we're right next door too, Max, by the way.
Big up Juan, man. I mean, Juan, the legend.
Juan Gutierrez, man. That guy can start a club, run a club, and succeed in any club he does.
Yeah. He's a real estate mogul now, man.
Legend. He's legend, man. That's a legend. That's a legend.
That's very humble of you to say that about him and to remember him, because he's done so much for the nightlife here. And I mean, look, he even had a part to play in your decision to become what you are now.
I'll never forget it. At 18, he's the first person that hired me. And, I think I lasted a week with him because he's just a tenacious guy. I mean, I was basically like becoming a bartender in 1 week at 18. And I was just like, I'm not ready for this. And I was like, but he saw, you know what? He's great. He saw it. I mean, him and Albert, I don't know if they work together anymore, but, talk about a great pair. I mean, Albert, again, legend, you know what I mean? And it's just like those guys are people you like see them speeding around in Porsches and living a lifestyle that you're like, at a young age, you're like, I want to be like them. But, you quickly see that there's this work that they do. And
they're the first ones in and the last ones out. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's something that I kind of, acquired through the course of my life now, that like I am the first one in and I am the first one out. Like even I own a studio in Los Angeles now, and I work with actors. I worked with all these actors, and I've gotten so many people. Like I'm at this point, like for guys, I've been in this business now for 2 decades. The first decade, I tell people I'm like, an actor. I became an actor, and then the second decade, it's like me being a coach and helping people. Now I get to start the third decade as a filmmaker, so it's really an incredible journey. And so it goes back to like watching people like Juan work, watching like people like, Neno. You guys remember Neno Ramirez?
Yeah, Nano, yeah. We just had him on the we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago here.
Oh, that's a legend.
Yeah, our last show was with Nano.
Yeah.
It's people like that I looked up to, that I was like,
That's good. So you used other people as your mentor, and I've always done that. I always try to take a little bit from the people that I'm working with or the people I'm working for. So talk about where you live. You live in LA proper or one of the suburbs?
Yeah, I'm right in the heart of it, my brother. I'm like I'm in Sherman Oaks Valley Village, Studio City, like right on the line. In fact, my neighbor is Gary Oldman's son. He's like my neighbor. He lives right above me.
Oh wow! I love Gary Oldman. He was in The Professional. He Stansfield, I think he played in The Professional. Gary Oldman. I don't know his son, but is his son in the acting business too?
Yeah, he's a model, photographer, like aspiring actor. Him and the Euphoria cast are always bouncing around here. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's like, it's really, it's different. I was even thinking about this, and I was like, oh my God, like, here I'm in LA, and I got my little cottage here, and I'm like 2 blocks away from my studio. I was really just reflecting on this when like Noe asked me to do the podcast a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, what would I get to fucking talk about? And it really is interesting, like, the lifestyle that you live as an artist, especially since we're going through the strike right now. I mean, the strike's actually a really big thing happening to us. It's going to be a monumental thing, but I think, that's another conversation we'll get into here down the line. But
let's touch on that for a minute. They're saying that Hollywood, and not Max Decker, but Hollywood in general is in some sort of a transformational funk right now, that they don't really know how they're, the writers' strike is just a symptom of an overall situation that Hollywood finds itself in. But what do you think about Hollywood and the movie making industry? Is it safe? Is it secure? Does it have a long-term future, or is it time to start looking at other locales?
No, man. I mean, I can say the same thing for real estate, right? Like, here you are with a problem, or it's not even a problem. I never like talking like that. It's more here you find yourself with a situation in which it hasn't been dealt with properly. It's just kind of glazed by, and it's like, oh, it's going to fix itself. It's like there's a Band-Aid on this gash. We have to fix it sooner or later. I mean, look at real estate. Real estate's definitely going to have its repercussion here coming pretty soon, sooner or later, because interest rates, because there's so many properties. I mean, there's so many properties that the banks are not selling just to hold. There's a lot of people that don't have houses that should have houses. You know what I mean? Like there's a problem. There's a situation that people have to fix. And so for me, it's the same thing with the acting. The acting is like, how long are we going to look over the fact that we don't get paid for streaming? And that's majority where everything's gone, just like the music industry. I mean, look what the internet, if you really pay attention to history, like what did the internet do to the music industry? We used to have a record label. We used to have this disc. There was no such thing as streaming. And so what you're really just seeing is the play out of the internet now with TV and film. Like people, give their kid a phone, and who do you expect to be the new viewers? These kids, right? These kids coming up watching our phones. So we watch stuff on the phone. So anyway,
that's a great analogy that you just pointed out there, because you're right. This is the result of many years of the internet trying to worm its way into practically every profession and discipline.
It's more the reality of parents letting a phone be the nanny to
the
kid.
babysitter. Yeah.
And so what do you expect is going to happen when people that are 18 now that used to be 8 and they're 18, 19, they're going to be hard trolls on social media. Like anything we do, our kids can do better if you give them something like an iPhone or an iPad. They're just going to navigate that.
That's
way.
Without a doubt.
Hey, Max, so how's everything affecting some of your clients that come in and they're looking to make their place in the acting world and in Hollywood? How do some of your clients feel about what's going on?
I have a great culture at my acting studio. I mean, I also run myself like an agency and a management. I'm not a greedy person, and my MO isn't like I've got to train everyone as an acting coach. Like that's not the way I look at it. In fact, I look at it the opposite. I look at it in a way where I don't have the time or the luxury to train everybody, so I have to be selective in who I pick. And I've trained people now that have come out of acting studio, New York, Pace, Yale, Carnegie Mellon, actors that have come from the Royal Academy in London. And because you have to always continue as an actor to train. So I'm one of those coaches now that because I've gotten so many people, agents and managers, and they book shows. Like if you were to look at my alumni from Jeremy Meeks, the model, he's known as the mugshot guy now. He's on several.
Yeah,
TV
I remember
shows.
that guy. He got arrested. They did a mugshot, and they discovered he was probably one of the most handsome men on earth. And then he started getting modeling contracts. What happened? Where's he now?
I'm in Jeremy's book, right? Jeremy talks about me as his acting coach. And who do they send him to? And Jeremy was picked up by CA right out. He got out of prison.
Wow.
And the guy that he managed, he managed Taylor Marie, what's her name? The model. Well, anyway, he this guy that was like a model manager. He picked him up. Jim Jordan, he's a legend. I mean, he's hands down one of the best. Gigi Hadid, he groomed so many people. He picked up Jeremy because that was where he's going in that direction, and he did. I mean, he killed it as a model.
Jeremy Meeks. That's awesome. Hey, we're listening you're listening to the Living Large Theater podcast. We're talking with Hollywood actor and acting coach Max Decker, hailing originally from McAllen. And we're trying to dive into his mind to find out how it works. There's so many people that show up on the West Coast with big dreams and aspirations and hopes, and the next thing you know, they're back working at Taco Bell in San Juan, Texas. But Max Decker's still there, making the Rio Grande Valley proud in his acting and acting coach career. Do you know anybody from the Valley over there? Have you met David Barrera?
I have. Let's see. Hold on, David Barrera. The name.
Yeah, he's from San Juan Alamo. His wife is Maria Canal. She played in the mother in Wizards of Waverly Place. So he's married to her, but he's had many parts in a lot of big productions. But I don't know if he's been able to crack that seal yet with respect to name recognition. What about JD Mata? He's been on the show. He's from here in the McAllen, Weslaco area. He's over there too, doing some acting gigs. He was.
I believe he. No, he did. Didn't he do the piano? Didn't he do the piano?
Yeah.
Piano.
Yeah, over at Pepe's on the River, and he was a.
Yeah, Pepe's on the River, right? Yeah. And then I believe his sister is
Letty, the news girl.
Right. Yeah. And yeah. So I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the family. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Letty about Letty now. Wow. She's talk about growing up a celebrity, right? Like she was. Exactly.
Boy, she was the it girl here in the Valley for many, many years.
She would have been great at soap operas.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of soap operas, let's dive into that. So you were on General Hospital, and before that you were on, was it One Life to Live or
All My Children?
Yeah.
All My Children.
So I just wrapped up. I just finished doing I want to say a run on GH. They give me a shot at it. I got to finish doing my storyline with Charles Shaughnessy, who was the main guy on The Nanny. He was.
Oh Charles Shaughnessy.
Yeah, Shaughnessy. I was with. I just wrapped up doing a run with Shaughnessy and Maurice Bernard and those guys. And I mean, it's so funny. My first day on set, the showrunner comes down. He's like, "Hey man, I saw your reel. You're great. You're going to do great on this show." And he's hyping me up. And then I heard him talking to the director, because the director was trying to give notes to the actors. And this kind of tells you what kind of set this is. And he goes, Friedel. He's like, stop holding him up. You've got 5 Emmys and 1,000 episodes of experience. Get out of their way. And I was like, okay, everybody up there has an Emmy except for me. And I'm like,
hey, is Jeannie Francis still part of the show?
I don't know. That's not my storyline with. It's so interesting when you're on a show, how they keep you to your group, and they kind of put you in the dressing room, and you just really wait for your moment to come in and try to get just the work done. No, so I don't know. Maybe she might still be active, but there's I think there's 25 series regulars on there. So
yeah, I asked because I haven't heard her or Tony Geary in some time.
Luke
now.
And Laura.
Yeah, Luke and Laura.
Oh man,
they were trying to. I think she is. I just haven't had the pleasure of working with her, but I know with Tony Geary, my boss, the storyline that they were trying to create was he killed him in overseas, and I was even bringing it up in a scene. It's you had to kill Luke.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So yeah, there you go. So that's my title, Luke and Laura, is that my boss, who I was his right hand man, as a bad guy, was killed Luke.
Wow. So what's it like over there right now? What's your lifestyle like? Can you have a typical day you can share with us? What do you do after you wake up?
Yeah. I'm really big on. I don't know. I'm big on God, and I believe
Amen.
in Jesus Christ, and I believe in I believe that's a real thing, and I believe that we're being tested in this time, and I wasn't really like a person that faithfully would go every week to church, but especially out here, it's so interesting, it's so strange. But I do wake up and I take the first 15-20 minutes to pray, connect with God. That's the first thing I do. I think it keeps me really humble and closer to the ground, so I don't get
Amen.
ahead of myself. Yeah, and that's a big thing for me. That's a really big thing for me.
That says a lot about you. It tells us and our listener that you didn't get lost. That you kept your bearing. You know what is what, and you know who's in charge. And to me, that's very noble.
Well, I think it's just we're living in such a in such a time where you need it. Like it really. Because you're going to idolize some other form or something. Some people idolize money. Some people idolize, status. Some people idolize, false gods. So it's just so apparent now. And I've seen some strange stuff. I don't really want to even dig into too much, but there are some people that are, it is kind of odd sometimes. And so it just really goes like, well, I'm going in this direction. I think a separate podcast I could talk about Freemasons and all this other kind of stuff, what I've experienced up here. But there's no bad people. There's no bad people. There's just people trying to find, I want to say, their culture and their community, or create a culture and a community for themselves. And those people have different objectives in life, right? So for me, what I've realized is my objective is helping people. At the end of the day, I will have helped thousands of people to reach their dream, and I did it in the hardest business there is. So for me, that's why again I connect back to God, Christ, waking up, connecting with that, being humble, and then just continue my day. Then maybe going to Erewhon so my girl can get a smoothie. That's kind of the two parts to it, and just little things, right? I think little things in your day, God, just anywhere from waking up, and the first thing after that is 15-20 minutes of just doing ab work, core work, just to warm up your body. Because as you get older, you just have to, those little things really do add up. And then I got to get my espresso, not because I can't do coffee. It's just I need the caffeine, but not those large quantities of hot liquid, right? So there's just continuing on through the day, doing my intermittent fasting until I can eat at 1, and just really that discipline. And then I'll I'm a filmmaker now. So my movie, that I have a TV pilot to, and, it's a feature film. So, we're just color correcting that. That was a huge process of, going over that with my editor, and technology is so crazy now, guys. You can literally go on your computer, pull up your stuff, give notes while your editor's color correcting it or mixing it with we just finished using AI on my last film, and I'm a little indie film. And so my day is little chores, or I might have some clients, I average 2 to 3 privates during the day until I have class. I have class 5 days a week, Thursday through Sunday through Thursday. So all of that is just geared up with my little, I want to say my little to-dos, my little habits that lead me through the day, especially my window of eating. I try to eat from 1 to 6, and that's a big thing too for me. And I love to cook, so 1 to 6, I'm trying to really hit my macros and stuff like that.
You ever go to Kookaroo's?
Kookaroo's, wow! I haven't heard that in a long time.
Billy and I took a trip out there back in '97, and we had to hit Kookaroo's. It was
we stayed in West Hollywood at the Riv, and we went to Kookaroo's 2 or 3 times to eat because it was really good food.
Awesome. Max, let me do a reset here. We're talking with Max Decker, the acting coach out of Hollywood, California. Grew up with our producer, Noe Ayala, and we are broadcasting right now from the Majestic Studios in McAllen, Texas. And Max, you as a film producer would probably be interested here. This facility under the benevolence of Ward Thomas offers commercial recordings, producer, audio engineers, studio musicians, songwriters, audio editing, tape analog. They have the whole shebang here, Max. So if you ever want to do something here local, we can hook you up with Majestic Studios, and we are very grateful for our benefactor, Ward Thomas, letting us use this outstanding facility.
Next to Club X.
Right next to Club X, by the way.
Your former stomping grounds.
What I would love? You know what I'd love to do? I would love to shoot a music video for an artist. And, even provide some of the actors or whatever. But that's one of my things as a filmmaker I would love to do.
I got somebody.
A music. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to do it, and I'd love to do it with you guys and link it up somehow. My partner, my producing partner is Max Garza, and I grew up with him. We went to Mac High together. I dated his sister, Melissa Garza. So, but he does Bitcoin now, and he's in Dallas. He's that guy's. He's gangster in his own right, where he goes around the world talking about Bitcoin and the future of blockchain. But yeah, I mean, I would love to somehow shoot an upcoming artist or a well-known artist. I'd love to shoot their music video, I think.
Absolutely. You got the studios right here at your fingertips, and they're called Studio One. So talk about your social life up there. What do you do? How do you relax, and how do you go out and have some leisure time?
Yeah, well, I really, wow, this is my mom, she kind of took a turn, I think, during COVID. I don't really know what happened, but she kind of lost function of being able to walk on her own, and she really needs a lot of assistance. So when I do have my free time, it's with me, my partner, my girlfriend, that's kind of funny because we're not married, but we call ourselves married. It's one of those things. So
yeah, watch out with that.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
No. I mean, it's interesting.
Hey, talk about your awards if you don't mind. I know. I'm going to tell you first of all before you answer. You seem to have your feet on the ground. You seem to have remained humble, and we're very proud of you for doing what you've done. But the awards that you've won, the recognition that you've earned, can you talk about some of that?
Wow, yeah. I mean, I'm really proud of my film Retrograde. It's about astrology and numerology, and I really based it during COVID. I shot it during COVID in the pinnacle of COVID, because I just went through something, and COVID actually ended up being a very successful year for me. Just right now, it's always funny how there's these moments, and I'm doing really well. Just thank God, right? Anyway, I shot my movie and came up with the script during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, astrology wise, we didn't have a retrograde, and that's what a retrograde is when a planet moves backwards and the Earth looks like it's going away from it. And so anyway, in astrology, have you ever heard of Mercury retrograde? It's Mercury retrograde. It's Mercury retrograde right now. Well, basically, I lined up for Mercury retrograde to be my final destination. It's the planets that are kind of creating these portholes where people die, and we just look at it as life. And so, and especially if you guys notice numbers 333, 1111, 1010, that's all incorporated in my movie.
Wow, I continue to live in the age of Aquarius. I don't know why.
Well, if you're an Aquarius, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Max, before we wrap it up, somebody trying to get into the acting business now, what advice would you give somebody trying to get into the acting business?
I'd say hit me up, man, because that's exactly what I do. In fact, I do online showcases where all these agents and managers, the same agents and managers that go to showcases for Yale and Carnegie Mellon and all these places where they pick up new actors. And since I'm a named coach now, when I'm on these lists, like the HRIs, the media artist groups, the agency, like, you know, like there's a ton of agencies I work with, but really 5 that are realistic to start people's career, and a handful of managers. Like once you get out here, you'll realize that there's just a group of people that do these things. And that's the people I work with, because they send me people and they pick up people with me, and my people get on shows. I would recommend you to hit me up, give me a call, and, you know.
How can I get a hold of you, Max?
Huh?
How can I get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me by my email, mattstudiocoach@gmail. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Or you can DM me. It's Mad Studio, MAD Studio, STUDIO Coach, COACH Coach @gmail. Or just hit me up on Instagram. Actually, I get hit up a lot like that at Mad Acting Studio. So if you go to Instagram and Mad Acting Studio, you just DM us, and then we'll line you up with a meeting with me, and then I'll just prep you, and then you do a showcase, and it's like I'm Oprah over here giving out cars. Like, you know, you get an agent, this person gets an agent. Yeah.
Hey, Max.
It's actually quite a lot easier. That's something that's really easy for me.
Hey, Max. So do you want to tell the people in the RGV or anybody who's listening what you're working on now here in the Valley?
Well, yeah, I'd love to. I actually just finished talking to Ricky Rue, and he has a book that he just this is his first of 3. And I was talking to him, and I was like, listen, man, I was like, what you really need to do is have a book about the club life, you know, with Club X and with, you know, Hot Spots and you know, Club Liquid and Agave Blue and 3. And he said, he goes, Max, he's like, that's my 3rd book. And I was like, brother, I was like, let me option that, because, you know, I got a slate of 7 films, and I got to do these other films before, you know, I'd get to your book anyway. But if you get that book and I get that to my person who writes my screenplays, I would love to do a movie about the Valley and the club life of, you know, what that was coming up, you know, 90s to 2000s, you know, like late 80s to like 90s to like, you know, almost like watch Juan in that nightlife. Like,
boom. We dominated Club X. I mean, we dominated Hot Spots.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
That place never had a chance.
I'm going to have to put it for that part.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was a bouncer. I was Juan had me as a bar back / bouncer Club X. I was the main guy at Collage. And then I also moved on, and then I did. And then I was at AK's for a while, and then of course Agave. Yeah, and then Agave, you know. So I was like, wow, like, you know.
Boy, that's a blast from the past, brother.
You ain't lying.
A blast from the past.
Hey, Max, thanks for being with us today, man. We appreciate your time, man, and good luck to you in all your future endeavors. All right, buddy?
Hope to see you again. And number one, Max, keep living large, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime, I'd love to come back and talk about it.
Absolutely. God bless you. Thank you for your time. Congratulations. Good luck, and don't forget us, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right. Hey, we're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, iHeart Podcast Network. Rate our podcast, share with a friend, leave us a comment. All right, you can communicate with us at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. You keep living large, because we'll keep living large as well. Have yourself a great week. Until the next time, take care of yourself.
See you guys later. Bye.